All right, so today we're going to be talking about domain and range. And it's not that it's a very tough concept, but I guess you could say sometimes you can get them mixed up. So that's kind of what would make it tough. Domain, which is right here, is the x's. Okay, it's all the x values. And then range is all the y values. Okay. And so whenever you have things that are discrete, and discrete, there's a couple of different ways that you can think of discrete information. Discrete would be lists. So right here is just a list of different numbers, or dots. So dots would be discrete. Okay. And so you see here that we've got dots. So anytime we have that, then doing the domain and range is just simply listing out everything. Okay. And so whenever we take a look at this example one right here, first off, they want to know, is it a function? So if you remember from last week, to be a function, all the x's have to be different, which they are. I want to make sure you know -1 and 1 are different. Okay, so is this a function? Yes, it is. All right, so when we start talking about domain, it said domain was the x values. And so what are the x values? 3, -1, -6, 1, and 4. Now, on a test, they would probably list these in numerical order. So it would probably go -6, -1, 1, 3, and 4. But when you're just writing it down for me, you just have to list them all out. So what is the range? The range is the y values. Here are my y values right here. So we have -4, 7, -8, 11, and 13. And in the end, if any of these numbers ever repeat, you only got to write them down once. So like, let's just say that there would have been 2 11s. You would only write 11 down once. Okay. All right, and that's it. That's domain and range. Now, whenever you are looking at a picture, then there is something that I would do that maybe is just a little bit different. So first off, is this a function? No, it fails the vertical line test right here because it hits 2 dots. Remember, it's only allowed to hit one spot on a graph. And so this is not a function. So let me erase this. All right. And then I wonder if this has a highlighter. I'm not seeing a highlighter. I like to highlight. I'm gonna see if I can pretend like this is a highlighter right here. I like to highlight the x-axis whenever I am doing domain. So it's right here. I'm just gonna highlight this. And the reason why I like to highlight it is because it draws your eyes to where you're supposed to go. So if I'm going to do domain, I highlight domain, and then I make sure I go to that axis. And so now, remember, this was not a function, and what makes it not a function is that they're both going to the same x. But remember, we only got to write it down one time. So this would be -1, -2, -3, -4. So right here, both of these dots, oh, I thought I changed the color back. So both of these dots right here are going to -4. So we'll put -4. Okay, and then the next dot would be going right here. So 1, 2, 3. And then the last dot's going right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Did I count that right? 1, 2, 6, 7. Okay. So that would be my domain. So I highlighted the x-axis so that I knew I was supposed to go to the x-axis. The number one reason kids get this wrong is that they'll, like, let's just say, look at this. It's really easy on these right here to remember to go to the x because they're all pretty close to the x. When it's really close to the y-axis, then you're going to want to go to the y-axis. So I highlight it to draw my eyes there. So now we're going to do the domain. So I've kind of got the opposite issue now. So now we need to highlight the y-axis right here. And so here's where people tend to have some troubles. And that is they always like to go the axis that's closest to them. So they want to go here. They want to go here, here. But if we're looking for range, we have to go to the y-axis. And so I'm going to start with the lowest to the bottom, and we've got to go to the y-axis right there. So this would be -1, -2, -3, -4. And then this is going to the y-axis. So -1, -2, -3. And so it's always about going to that axis. So domain is x's, range is y's. So that would be 1, and this would be 2. So 1 and 2. So like I said, the biggest issue is that people will go to the wrong axis in order to get their answers. Okay, but notice all we did was list out our answers. All right, so let's clear this. Okay, so these are all just lists. So first off, is this a function? I'm going to assume that somewhere in here was range. I don't know why there wouldn't be a range right there. So I'm not sure what happened there. So whenever we take a look at this, first off, is this a function? So we only look at the x's. They all have one arrow. So yes, this is a function. All right, so what's the domain? Okay, well, what are the x's right here? So the x's are 3, -2, and 4. And just these are your x's. And then what are the y's? 0, -1, -2. All right, over here, is this a function? So we got -1, 5, 2.3, and 4. Yes, that is a function. And what is the domain? So domain would be all the x's. So -1, 5, 2.3, and 4. And then what's the range? All the y's. 9. 9 repeats again. We don't need to put both of them. 7 and -2. All right, so that's the basic idea behind today is domain is your x's, range is your y's, and on anything that is on a graph, make sure that you're going to that axis. Okay, so if it's domain, make sure you're going to the x-axis. If it's range, make sure you're going to the y-axis.